Hey everybody, this is Dust for Dustin on Gaming with episode 3 of Arclight Phoenix decks in Modern, match number 3. As I've said in the previous episodes, this deck is kind of an amalgamation of Burn and the Izzet Arclight Phoenix decks. And a reminder, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, giving us a thumbs up on this video, and leaving constructive comments down below. So this deck is kind of the amalgamation of the Burn decks in Modern and the Izzet Thing in the Ice Arclight Phoenix decks that are currently probably the top Tier 0, Tier 1 deck in the format. This pairs Monastery Swiftspear and Soulscar Mage with a bunch of 1-drop spells to be able to pressure opponent early, using Arclight Phoenix and Bedlam Reveler as kind of a little bit of resiliency / reach in the late game. Allows you to refill your hand or attack with flying damage, which can be more difficult to manage. Also, recursive threats, you can usually bring back Phoenixes once or twice. To that end, you have Faithless Soothing to put your creatures in the graveyard. You have Manamorphose and Gutshot as free spells to get to 2 and 3 spells quite easily in the early turns to be able to trigger your prowess on your creatures and you get your Arclight Phoenixes back out of the graveyard. And you have Lightning Bolt, Lava Spike, and Skewer the Critics to kind of light your opponent up. Light the stage as kind of card advantage. Sometimes you can flip an Arclight Phoenix or a Bedlam Reveler and not be able to cast it. However, that is one of the risks you play when you play a card with Light Up the Stage, and then Gutshot has been relevant in our second match against some type of devotion strategy, being able to kill our opponent's creatures for free after having played a 1-drop. So it's kind of nice in that regard. So Gutshot does have one in the matchups where Gutshot is good. Gutshot is amazing. Surgical Extraction comes in against graveyard decks. Can hit anything from Storm to Dredge to the new Living End deck that's now floating around with Electro Dominance. Running Volley here for the Izzet version of the deck with things like Thing in the Ice, Crackling Drake, even Terramander's now showing up in some builds. Also can double as removal against Storm, being able to fight through things like Unsub. Well, I guess doesn't technically fight through Unsub. Can fight through things like Remand and such, not being able to protect their creatures. A Braid, good in surprising number of matchups, especially when paired with Soulscar Mage, can kill or reduce the size of things like Tarmogoyf and stuff. Also good against anything with 3 toughness or less. Any matchups where Shatter effects are good. Especially with the Chalice decks now starting to pop up with Grixis Whir, and some other decks starting to pop up with Chalice, like E-Tron's making a little bit of a surge, etc. So beware of Chalice, especially since you are kind of vulnerable to Chalice of the Void. Blood Moon comes in against anything like Tron, Valakut, Amulet Titan. I've noticed that Amulet, this past weekend, both at the Grand Prix Toronto and a few other things, Titan Shift starting to make a comeback, so that card is good in that matchup. Then Dragon's Claw here, pretty much for the Burn and Mono Red Phoenix Mirror. Could potentially come in against other aggressive decks if you're, like Goblins and such, just as a hedge to gain yourself some life, because, Red's pretty lacking in ways to gain life otherwise. So that being said, let's hop into match number 3. First 2 matches have been pretty good. We were able to get off to fairly aggressive starts against some of the more mid-range ramp decks of the format. Obviously, those are matchups we should have pretty good game against, and then Blood Moon only adds fuel to those fire. So, yeah, seems pretty reasonable. We're up against the Man-Bat. Going to 5. All right. Okay. Or if we're up against something like Storm, perhaps? Not sure what... Alright. Death Shadow, perhaps? Nope. Dredge. It's gotta be Dredge, right? Archamoeba, Creeping Chill. So, mulligan to 5, Obliterate us. Sounds great. Dredge is obviously one of the matchups that particularly traditional burn kind of struggles with. I'm just going to attack here with Swift Spear. I want to block an Archamoeba, that's fine. Can we potentially set up lethal next turn? Gutshot will throw off any conflag nonsense this turn. Looting's annoying, but not likely the end of the world here. Unless they happen to have another one, which would be bad. Casting a Golgari Thug, huh? No attacks, that kind of sucks. That kind of sucks. This is a tough combination of crap to beat. Alright, so Faithless Looting. Oh, I got a Phoenix or something here. Red. Fortunately, our opponent hasn't taken any damage this turn, so I don't know that I can actually kill them here. Yeah, because that costs a full 3. Gut shot here. Puts these to 15. 18. 1 short. And if our opponent hits anything, we're just dead. So that puts him to 15, puts him to 18 damage, 21. Can't cast Spectacle anyway, so we're probably dead here. And it puts us to dead. So definitely want these surgical extractions. Some consideration even for Blood Moon. Just because their mana base can be a little bit greedy. Though oftentimes that will be a dead card. Try like that maybe. And this isn't the most aggressive hand in the world, but at least it's something to do. You're definitely the better Faithless Looting deck. We hit one Phoenix, unfortunately. Guess we'll have to do for now. Creeping Chill, brutal card. Land drop here means they get 5 power back. They have a Cathartic too. Feels like this might be a Conflag, sure. Question is, what am I even going for here? try to connect with that next turn. Dredge is just a terrible matchup for any of these red-based aggressive decks. You have Lightning Axe too? Sure. Just go ahead and scoop it up. Sometimes you just lose to the Dredge monster. Yep, so Dredge is obviously a pretty brutal matchup for Boros and Rakdos Burn without specific graveyard hate like Leyline of the Void or Rest in Peace, so probably no different for a deck that's just essentially a more basically a mono red burn deck. I mean, no other way to cut it. This deck is a mono red burn deck, so still probably makes sense that it has similarly rough matchups. Might be a little bit better against things like Black Green Rock and other resilient decks that sometimes give regular burn a run for its money, but I mean, at the heart, this is still a burn deck. So this has been match number 3 of episode 3. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.